Oh, yeah, I did.
It's 7, so we will call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mary Jane.
Here.
Sasha. Here. Teresa.
Here.
Ralph.
Here.
Bill.
Here.
We'll entertain a motion to accept the October 3rd minutes. I'm hoping everyone's had a chance to look at those.
Yes. I have a question on part of it. On the street opening permit, it was listed as the permit fee as of this time was $50 non-refundable. That is wrong. It's $150 at this time. And there's a new proposal that we're going to discuss tonight to leave that fee as such.
Are there any other corrections? Is there a motion to accept the minutes as corrected?
So moved. Second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Sasha. Yes. Teresa.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the warrants and payroll timesheets.
So moved.
Second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Sasha. Yes. Teresa.
Yes.
Bill. Ralph.
Yes.
Entertain a motion to approve the transfer of police revenue from the general fund to the police fund.
Motion made.
Second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Sasha. Yes. Teresa.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Entertain a motion to approve the transfer of interest to the appropriate funds.
So moved.
Second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Sasha. Yes. Teresa.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Mr. Spade?
Very quick meeting there. Good job. Okay, this is for Mary Jane, and she has a couple properties here, a couple houses and garages that are actually on 3 different deeds. And if you look at the yellow here, this is going to be lot 358 and 359, which are here. The pink is another lot on another deed. And then the blue is actually the 3rd deed, and it has 3 lots on it. And these lots were split up very small, like they are here. They're about 25 feet in width, so they don't comply with any zoning that you have today. And when you would buy these lots, you would buy 2 or 3, however many, to build a house on. And that's how your family got a hold of all the property here. And then they constructed some homes on the lots. As it is now, the new house to the rear, or to the east here, is very close to the lot line between these 2 deeds. And what Mary Jane had us do was put a new line through here, and that's what we're asking for the approval of the council. It went through the planning commission today at 4, and we're asking for this approval of the new lot line here, which adheres to all the setbacks that's required by the R2 zoning, and that's what we're asking to do. Is just there'll be a deed for here and a deed for here. So nothing's really changing except this line is here instead of where they are presently.
You're going to end up with 2 deeds instead of all of these.
Right.
Yeah,
Instead
my
of
dad
3.
used to own all that property up in that area. And as we got married, he gave us, well, I bought the property that where I live now, but we lived in another plot that he had. And then when we set our home up there, it was right, he gave the okay to set it right on the line
Yeah.
and had,
What, you don't want to step out your side door? be in.
I don't want anybody from the other, well, I own both properties now, but I didn't want anybody, had that been sold, I didn't want anybody
Right.
parking their vehicle right under our bedroom windows. So that's why I asked Jim to come down and resurvey and added some property. It just split it down the middle, added some property to where I live and the other
Away
house.
from your dad's
Yeah.
place and
Yeah.
the other house. Okay.
The zoning and planning committee met today. We did approve that as he has it laid out there in two different sections now instead of three.
Yeah, years ago, when Dad bought all that property, I don't know who the surveyor was, but it's a mess up there. It's all over New
They
Paris.
used to do things a little
Yeah.
different than they do now.
Well,
But
these-
anyway, this is the most updated, I mean, it hasn't been updated for, what? It's the early
Oh, these-
1900s.
Yeah, these lots were laid off in the 40s and 50s,
Okay,
so.
well, that was before I was Okay. Anyway,
Most of us always
we
do.
tried to even because they go at an angle, and nobody knew where their property line
Yeah.
was, so it's all straightened out now, and, if council agrees to approve it.
Yes. I'll second.
So we
Well,
need to
we
make a
motion.
motion that we approve this change on Mary Jane's properties.
You made the motion.
I made a motion.
Second.
Mary Jane,
Abstain.
Sasha. Yes. Teresa.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
We'll bring in the plat, and of course, Ed will have to sign it here, and then we'll proceed with the
Okay.
transfers out. And transfer it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim, appreciate it.
Okay.
Susan,
Not even
whenever
sure.
you're ready, we're ready. Do you need a minute? We
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
Kind of waiting on you.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry I was a little late. I was at another meeting, one before instead of after this time around. Basically, I just had kind of two things to talk to you about. One, I just want to let you know that we talked with ODOT and Mandy sent them an email in my direction requesting that the funds for the bridge on Spring Street be moved to the 2020 fiscal year. They were fine with that, so that's already been done. So that's in place for as we move forward with the East Cherry Street
Okay,
project.
I do want to tell you something about that.
Okay.
You know, I'm selling that one piece of land to Jacob Smith. It's going to be in a land contract on that, that you don't have that right away to that easement value problem.
Yeah. You're still.
I'm also selling the house next door to me
Okay.
on a land contract, and I
Okay.
talked to him today, and it's going to be set up the same way. So when it's time for y'all to do that, it's going to be in the land contract that I have with both parties there,
Okay.
okay?
That would be great, wonderful. Well, thank you for thinking about that and thinking ahead
Yeah.
to allow that. And probably what we'll do is we'll just do an easement that
Yeah.
allows them to get in there and do the work, but it doesn't actually take, it's still their land. We would just have.
They
an
can always
easement to do
park in my
whatever.
driveway if they need to, it's not going to be a problem.
Right, okay, all right, very good, thank you so much. Then the other thing I brought has to do with the Land and Water Conservation Fund application that we're working on for the park.
Yes.
And I have a resolution for us to pass this evening to submit the application. We talked about it last month at the meeting. And then we kind of talked about doing the demo and the remediation for the asbestos, and then also about putting something there so that it becomes, a development type project and not just a demolition type project. So with that being the case, we talked about the splash pad. I brought you something to kind of give you an idea of just something that you can think about. This just kind of shows a layout of a splash pad, and kind of what the dimensions are and how it works. And there's basically different features to it that, the kids and adults really can play on. This particular layout is around 3,500 square feet, so it's a rather large piece. You wouldn't have to do anything that large. The cost on this one, and somebody gave me this, so it wasn't like I really had to go get this from somebody. But the cost for this particular layout is $90,000.
How much?
$90,000, and that includes, all of everything but the concrete, but all the play features, all the plumbing is all included. Now, I'm not saying that you want to do anything that big. I just wanted to give you like an example, and they can do things that are different sizes. There's different companies that do this kind of stuff, since there's, kind of a lot of it that's going on now. But I just wanted to give you something just to kind of, so you knew what a splash pad looked like if you didn't already, just to give you some idea of kind of what my thoughts were. And I guess what I'm thinking is that the demolition cost that we've been given has been around $150,000. The remediation cost was around $250,000. If you remember when we went after the capital bill money, that was around $400,000. My thinking is if we threw $100,000 in there for a splash pad, to just give us a round $500,000 number, we'd ask for $250,000, and then you'd have a $250,000 commitment. Now, part of that can be in-kind work, meaning you could, run some of the plumbing, you could do the concrete in-house, they could pay for the concrete. I mean, there's some things we could do there to kind of help facilitate, some in-kind work so it wouldn't have to be all cash. If the project comes in at a lower price, it's still a 50-50 grant, so your share goes down just as much as the grant goes down. So, we can find some ways to demo the building for $100,000, then that would be $25,000 you wouldn't have to come up with. But I think that's kind of one of those things where we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And to just go after demoing and there be nothing, I think that's not as fundable to the people that are giving us the money or would give us the money as getting rid of it and then having something. And I think that development piece is kind of key to it being something that somebody's going to want to fund.
Yeah, I don't know if we need a splash pad this big.
No, I don't know that we do either. I don't know that
Because if we put this
and
in, not that they're not welcome, but all the rich would be coming over to our place.
Well, and I'm not saying that you want anything that big either.
Yeah.
Actually, another client that I work with had this done for them. And so I just kind of like reused it with
Well,
them.
sure.
Just to give you some
That's
idea,
nice.
what does it look like, what do you do with it, how does it work? Just kind of a little something to give you some kind of an idea of, something this big costs this much money. So if we did something that was half that size, we'd probably be looking at more like $45,000. So, I'm not saying that you need to do something that big or that you need to do that one. It's just more of a way to give you something to give you an example of what it could look like. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So anyway, so what we need to do this evening is we need to pass the resolution to submit the application, and then you just need to make a motion as to, what you want to do about a commitment. The commitment, basically, you don't have to have the money now. The way that grant works, if you would be funded, and we probably wouldn't know anything until probably in the spring, so it wouldn't be something that we would be doing necessarily all next year. You'd have 2 years to do the work, so we could kind of drag out your share, over a 2-year period. It's a reimbursable grant, which means, let's say we go in and we do the demolition and it costs $100,000. You pay the $100,000, you send it into them, they pay you $50,000 back. Then you could, we have to do the asbestos first, but we could do it in chunks to kind of help you spread it out over a 2-year period so that you didn't have to come up with all the money at one time. So, that's kind of my thinking, is if we went in with that amount of money, if it's cheaper, that's better. You can always give it back, but you can't go get more.
Right.
So I'd rather go in a little high and try to see if we can do some things to make it smaller, and then, you can still get 50%. but if we don't ask for enough and then it goes over, you have to come up with 100% of the overage, so we don't really want to do that. So that's kind of my thinking as far as, where to go. So what questions do you have? I know it's something we've already been talking about, so.
The capital bill or whatever it is that they run through the state legislature.
Yeah.
Is it it's only done every other year, or am I, okay, so it was done last year.
Yeah, the grants that they gave out are for basically 17 and 18. So they would take money again in 17 for 18 and 19. Because see, like a lot of those program or projects, they're just now getting their grant agreements.
Okay.
And
The ones
so-
that were funded.
And they have till
Just
June of
last.
18.
Okay.
Right, so the next one will be June of 20, and the grants will come out in the end of 18.
So if we were accepted and we did get this, we would know April, March, something like that,
Yeah, probably.
and would have until March of 19, am I right?
Yes, yes. And we could go after some capital bill money to try to match it, if
Yes.
that's what you're thinking.
Well, I'm thinking if it's, I mean, there's no telling if that's possible, to still get that or not. And until this election's over, we don't even know who we'd be dealing with.
Well, the capital
Got a
bill,
pretty
the
idea.
capital bill is state money, if that helps, then it's not
Yes,
federal
no,
money.
but yes,
Okay.
even within the state, I think there's a question.
But we could get something to go after to try to chip away at your 50% in the meantime.
we would have time to work on some other things and
Yes.
perhaps get it.
Yes, we would.
And if we, if you can't get it all done, you just have to drop out. There's nothing written in stone, but I'll tell you, if you drop out, I think we're cooked.
Yeah. Be the last chance.
I don't know, I'm not sure, but there is a possibility that we might be able to get the capital bill and have a little bit of something coming from that the following year. We'd still be in this window.
And we wouldn't have to ask as much from the capital bill that we were asking for before, because we really just had that plus the $100,000 that you guys were putting up. So we were asking for $350. Where
Yes.
we went after,
Even if we went after our whole share of it, it would still be $100,000 less.
Yeah, because if we went after 500,000, which is 400,000 for the asbestos and the demo, and then 100,000 for, say, a splash pad, and your share was 250, you're really only looking for 250, not, you're only really looking for 150 because you put up 100 before. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So now we're only asking for 150, say, from the capital bill versus 350.
And by it being our second attempt, that might help us too.
Yeah. Plus, if we
Try to
could,
down that
if we were fortunate to get enough to get the Land and Water Conservation Fund, and you had that to take to the table with you, I think
Yes.
that would be huge.
Yes.
Because you didn't give up on it, you went after something else. And this program, the Land and Water Conservation Program, is a 2-year program. So this is 17 money, so they won't do this again until either late 18 or early 19. And then you won't know till, probably, June of 19 to, August, September of 19. Again.
The acceptance of the resolution is sort of predicated on the fact that we are willing to go after loan monies to make up our share of what we can't get from anywhere else. And it could, I don't look for it to be 500, but, because I think, I agree with Teresa, we don't need a splash pad that big, but it would be a nice feature, and it would be something for people to say on these, something for the Department of Natural Resources, say, look what we, here's what we did here, and here, to be included in that. They don't want to say, look what we did, it's nothing but an empty space.
Yeah, we just tore a building down.
I'm going to read the resolution. Keep in mind that we're going to, if you vote yes, then we're going to have to come up with our share of the funding, is all I'm saying, one way or another. But it's not written in stone, and we don't have to accept it even if we're granted the money.
That's correct.
So this is, I need a resolution number 13. This would be resolution number 2016-13. Resolution authorizing the mayor to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Land and Water Conservation Fund program and to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency. Whereas the state of Ohio, through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, administers financial assistance for public recreation purposes through the Federal Land and Water Conservation Fund program, and whereas the Village of New Paris, Preble County, Ohio desires financial assistance under the Land and Water Conservation Fund, now therefore be it resolved by the Village of New Paris, Preble County, Ohio as follows. Section 1, that the council of the Village of New Paris, Preble County, Ohio approves filing this application for financial assistance. Section 2, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to execute and file an application with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and to provide all information and documentation required to become eligible for possible funding assistance for the community park splash pad development project. Section 3, that Moten Associates Incorporated of Greenville, Ohio is hereby authorized to represent the Village of New Paris, Preble County, Ohio regarding the engineering aspects of this project. Section 4, that the Village of New Paris, Preble County, Ohio does agree to obligate the funds required to satisfactorily complete the proposed project and become eligible for reimbursement under the terms of the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Section 5, this resolution is hereby declared an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the Village of New Paris, Preble County, Ohio, as there is a time limitation for the application of such financial assistance, and this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval by the mayor.
I make a motion we accept resolution 2016-13.
Second?
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Sasha? Teresa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Somebody go ahead and, just because it's been protocol here, to make a motion to declare an emergency for the 3 readings.
I make that also.
Second?
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Sasha? Teresa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Now, we need a motion, if I understand correctly, that we will,
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to, we've already kind of said in the resolution that you
Yes.
will complete the project and submit, come up with the money.
have our money.
Now, if you want to pass a resolution as to, we want to move forward with a $500,000 project, knowing that that's a 50% grant, 50% match, that's fine. Or if you just want to say we want to move ahead with, the splash pad at that amount of money, that's what
I have a question about that.
Sure.
Say we put in 100,000 for a splash pad and we don't use all that. Can we use that money for other things pertaining to the park, or will we have to?
Generally, if you've already done what you said you did, we can ask permission. It just kind of depends on what it is. If you're doing something like that complements it, like say you're going to put up some benches and it's not something totally separate, then I think, you could probably do something like that, that they would let you use it. It just kind of depends on whether it's something we talked about in the application. Now, if I put something in the application about a splash pad with associated benches and picnic tables or something like that, and then you don't do the picnic tables, it doesn't matter, or you don't do the benches, it doesn't matter.
Right.
I can make it a little more generic and broad.
Okay.
That's not a problem. And if you do something where, you just don't end up spending that much money, you don't have to take all the grant money. It's still 50-50, but if there's some things that we
wouldn't
can
have to
do,
borrow as much.
if there's some things that we can do to minimize the cost,
Right.
then obviously, we would do that. It's just easier to get the money and give some back than it is to not have enough, and they won't give you more because they've already allocated it all.
Well, Sasha and I got some positive feedback on social media talking
Yeah,
about
the park.
trying to do this, and people seem gung-ho to try to help out with fundraisers and such.
Oh, good, well, good,
So,
well, that's
we
wonderful.
can keep talking it up as time goes, and maybe we'll get some community involved and help.
Well, maybe with the shelters going up, I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
that, you know, it's pretty
Yeah,
hard
there
not
was a lot of
to,
excitement. That's
it's
how it
pretty
all
hard not to
started.
miss those, so that, you know, I think that shows, you know, a motivation on your part to
Yeah.
do something as a village and a council, and
Right.
hopefully people will jump on board with that, so that's great, I'm glad you're gonna.
Where's the next?
If I need a resolution, I'm going to be
You
pulling it
know,
out of my
I just
ears.
want a motion, I just want a motion to move
The
forward.
chair will
with
entertain a
a-
motion to move forward investigating, including borrowing, different avenues to accrue these funds, to match whatever grant monies we get, up to $250,000.
Motion made.
You need a motion?
Second.
It's moved and seconded.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Sasha? Yes. Teresa?
Yes.
Bill? Ralph?
Yes.
That's all I have. Okay. Then I will, I don't know if you want to sign that in
I
the
don't
half.
know if I should,
I'll
or
just
if-
leave it here, we can have Rick
Well,
do it.
yeah,
Because I've got
and
some
then-
other forms he's gonna have to sign
Okay.
for the application,
Okay.
and so I'll
And
just
we
give
have
that,
one.
yeah, do you want me to give that to the manager, you want to hold on to that one?
I can have this-
Okay, you hold on to that one, I've got some other copies, so it's not a big deal.
That way she can have it to get the
If,
signature.
we're down.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Yes, thanks for all your hard work on this.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. Committee reports, safety.
Police department handled 108 calls for service, 25 reports, made 5 arrests, issued 19 citations, and gave 32 warnings for the month of October. Couple different things that we have to talk about. You have that copy?
I do.
The Trumbull County agreement, prosecutor's agreement.
Apparently, we did not sign an agreement, or we did not execute properly the agreement to have the prosecuting attorney here in Preble County prosecute our cases for us. I'm sure he did that anyway, but it just came to light that we never had the agreement and we never paid the contract for 2016. It is payable. We do need to execute the agreement. I can read the whole thing, or I can pass it to you, but it's pretty standard what they have done, and the amount of the contract is, am I looking for $2,500? Is that what I thought? I had seen 36. Yes, it is. I'm sorry, you're right. 36 per year to be paid in a lump sum, and it should have been paid in February.
How much a year?
$3,600 for the year.
It was budgeted, we
It
just never
was
received,
budgeted.
it was budgeted.
It was, yes.
And
It was
we
in the
actually
budget.
approved a blanket purchase order for it in January, but we never received a contract from them.
So we do have it now, and it does, we are obligated to
What's
pay
the
it.
fact that we didn't do anything with it is that the prosecutor's office got so busy with the stuff, they forgot to actually send it to us, get it approved and things like that. So it's actually been approved in the budget, like Randy said, it just needs signed.
We passed, agreed to, and signed.
Yeah.
We still haven't voted on it, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it's already been budgeted.
And you'll have to vote on it for the 2017, for the 2016.
This is 16 here
And 17.
And so,
and
Well, now,
17.
this one is 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes, this agreement began January 1 of 2016 and ends December 31st of 2017. And the lump sum payment per year is $3,600. We owe for 2016. We'll be making another payment, I'm assuming in
In
February.
27.
Or in January, yeah, in 17. Chair entertains a motion to approve the agreement and pay it. It's already been approved, we just need to pay the bill.
So moved.
Second.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Sasha?
Yes.
Bill? Ralph?
Yes.
Okay, now you can go ahead, I jumped right in there, but I had it in my hand, that's why.
That's all right, because I know normally my list is not this big, so I got quite a few stuff on here. Good news is, I sat down with the safety committee and the mayor last week or a couple weeks ago, and let them know that we did get approved for one of the grants for the best that we actually applied for and everything. We actually got $1,990. And when I submit the receipts on that, it actually divides the vest that you guys already approved for us to purchase. So for $800 vest, we're actually only paying $400 for this, because they're going to cover half the price. So, another agreement that I got, which you don't have a copy of, another one that just got sent to me, is actually a mutual aid agreement from Montgomery County. Something that we already have, but they went ahead and revised some of the ordinances and things like that. Just, once again,
It's just a revision of something we already
Just a revision
have.
of something that's already in place.
Do you know what the revision is?
I think it's just the wording on something.
I'm sorry, I have not seen this, so I can't, I mean, I can read it all if you want to hear it, or I can pass it around and we can hold off on discussion until new business. We already have an agreement with Montgomery County for mutual aid. And I'm not sure what changed here. We don't have the old agreement, and now it's this one. Jeremy, when does this have to be back? Right away?
Just as soon as possible.
Okay. Does this agreement begin on January 1? Or I don't see a date anywhere.
It doesn't give a date on exactly when it
Okay.
actually starts. Like I said, we
Ah,
actually.
It needs to be returned to the office over there by the 6th of January 2017.
Right.
So I would suggest that, of course, I think we probably want to go ahead and do it, but since we haven't had time to compare it and see what changes there are or anything else, we hold this one until December meeting. Will that work? We can still get it, the agreement signed, and any questions asked, and still have it in on time.
You have to do it next month.
Yeah, it don't have to be done in December. Okay.
Have you read it, Jeremy? Does it meet your,
Yeah, I mean, it's basically we got a mutual aid with just about everybody.
right, well, I always have had.
And we always have it, and it's basically what they're sending out to all the departments that have mutual aid with them, Trevor County, everybody. So, I mean, one of me reading over it and everything, or standard for what it is.
Well, I mean, I think it is too. I'm looking here to
I
see.
still think it's our job to look at it. Somebody's
I'm-
got to work.
Well, I think we're going to do
Not that we think there's any problem, but
No, and not that we don't
Yeah.
want to have this
Right.
in
Yeah,
place.
you want to have it, that's for sure, you
Yeah, I think so too. But since it's not due till January 6th, we should have plenty of time to execute it in December and get it back in well ahead of the date that they wanted. So we'll table this until the December meeting.
Sounds good. Another thing on there, just want to let you guys know that all the officers currently have completed their 11 hours of continuous professional training for the year. Next year, it goes from 11 hours up to 20 hours of training extra. And then also with my meeting with the safety committee and everything, we spoke about hiring another part-time officer. Mr. Vernon Kattenberger over here. completed all the hiring process. He's CBSA, which is a truthful test, pre-drug screening test and everything. He's come back good. I recommend to the council approving him not only for, as a new hire, but as a part-time position, that would be a paid position.
I make a motion that we hire, pardon me, tell me your name.
Brady Temperberger.
Okay, at this time,
I'll second that motion.
Mary Jane?
yes.
Sasha? Yes. Ralph?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I think we need to amend that. Would you mind to amend your motion to put in the starting wage, which is right now 10.10?
Okay. I'll rescind
Should we also amend it to say part-time? Should that make a difference? Part-time officer?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think probably.
Okay.
Would you please?
I'll rescind my first motion and make a motion that we hire the officer part-time with starting wages at 10. what did you say?
10.10.
10.
That's the regular starting amount that we do.
I'll still second that.
Good, thank you.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Sasha? Yes. Ralph?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome, Brandon.
Yes. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you.
We really are.
For the rest of that, is it?
Okay.
You get the minister.
Hang on. Brandon, do you want to come up here? Raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I, Brandon Katzberger,
I, Brandon Temperberger,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution
I will uphold the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the laws and ordinances
the laws and the ordinances
of the Village of New Paris, Ohio,
of the Village of New Paris, Ohio.
and that I will faithfully,
I will faithfully
honestly, and impartially
and honestly and impartially
perform the duties of police officer
perform the duties of the police officer
of the Village of New Paris, Ohio,
of the Village of New Paris, Ohio,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you very much. Listen, while you're here, you need to go ahead and sign this and it is.
What?
Girlfriend.
Girlfriend?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, what's your name?
Morgan?
Morgan.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome to our village.
Thank you.
If you ever need anything, let us know.
Another thing we talked about at the safety meeting there, that we are still short-handed officers in there. I do have an officer, Mr. Hamilton here, who has been working crazy hours. You know, if somebody's missing, somebody can't come in, you know, he's here. You know, there's been times he's been 80 hours, 90 hours, 91 hours up there on the page.
Wow.
And he's only served part-time. So one thing I discussed with them and the mayor is actually moving him from part-time to a full-time position to actually assist with covering that. And
He's working it. You know, he has a position.
we haven't had two full-time officers the whole 10 years I've been here.
Yeah.
So I guess I present to you guys on your guys' recommendation of moving him from part-time to a full-time position. And of course, he'll have to go through the same stuff that I have to do in the full-time position, as long as he passed that. He could also get back on probation. him going to the full-time position, I'd also like to promote him to sergeant. And, you know, with him being a full-time guy, being second in line and everything else like that, that's another recommendation that I want to present to council.
We used to do it that way.
You know,
Well,
They
you
used to
probably
do it that way.
do this.
I'd like to accept your recommendations to bring him to full-time and to give him the position of sergeant, right? Is that correct? And with that, I would like to propose that we increase his pay at the same time. At the time you were promoted to sergeant, you were given an increase of 18.75% from the wages that you were making. Now, we're not talking dollars, we were talking percentages.
Yeah, oh, no. No, that's not right.
Anyway, under that same scenario, by moving Scott to the sergeant's position, I would also like to bring him up to the 18.75% also, which would bring him to $12.97. Of that, $1.05 would start immediately, then the balance of that, the $1 balance then would be brought in after his probation period of time as sergeant, if this is okay with council, and if it's okay with Scott and Jeremy.
And that's to be a motion.
Have to be on the
Thank you.
I'll second.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Tasha? Yes. Teresa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ralph?
yes.
Thank you. All kinds of fun things going on in here. The mayor will be sorry to miss this.
Oh, that was
That's what I'm here for. Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome to stay there all the evening.
We'll just get you a nice stool and sit
Yeah,
on
that's
it.
right.
Sit there all the time.
The only other thing that I have is, once again, is the Marks reviews. I know last meeting I brought it up with the mayor. The mayor said there was emails and everything. I was like, no. The only email that we have found and everything, I really have to hear as a copy of the
They all
email.
have, I think everybody got a copy. If you want to take a look at it,
Basically, it says when or if the dispatches center become one, then the sheriff would have it in his budget to actually pay for the yearly dues. We cannot find any other emails in this. I know contact the driver, the sheriff, the mayor. The mayor needs to search all the old emails and everything else like that. And this is the only email that we can find that actually talks about this. Now, I know the Marks radios and everything else like that, it's past due, the bill is on its past due and everything else like that. And, you know, they shut the radios off, they shut the system off, then not only leaves the officers out there, safety issue, but it leaves the village, the community, because there can be no contact between the sheriff's department and us.
if you have this email from Chris Turek, and it was a forward from Chris Turek from the sheriff's office, and down here at the last part of it says Mike Simpson or Ann Simpson and Crow County. This is the gist of what we could find that dealt with who was going to pay those fees, the rentals or whatever they are on each radio. And my question is, are they ever going to be under one dispatch center?
That I can't answer.
And
I know they're
the-
trying to, and they were trying to do it there for a while and everything, but they kind of like everything else got pushed aside and everything. As for planning, combining, because right now what it is Eaton Police and Eaton Fire, the city of Eaton has their own dispatch. The county covers everybody else in the county besides the city of Eaton. And plans to eventually merge them together. That way you only have one headquarters, and all of this way.
Is there feet dragging on that, or it's just a matter of the transition, or?
I think right now what it is the money, but I don't want to speak for the sheriff. I'm trying to get everything.
Trying to get, pay their share, or what? Oh, we don't know. We don't know. No, and we don't know. So since, I just wondered, you know, it clearly does say when we transition to one dispatch center, and that's not been done. I don't know.
I know when the March radios first came out, it was supposed to be $20 per piece of equipment. With Governor Kasich stuck that new bill into effect, it actually cut it from $20 to $10 per equipment. And the bill, the way the driver actually set it up for us and charged before the bill actually comes, it's once a year. So it's technically only $90 a month, but for 9 pieces of equipment.
And we have 9 pieces that we paid for because of the portable radios and the ones in the cars and, okay. And how, they wanted to pay annually.
Yeah,
That's how we have ours set up.
That's the way it was set up.
So right now, we owe $1,080 for the year of 2016.
So in 2 months, we'll have to pay that again.
Well, it runs from July 1st, 2016 to June 30th of
It's not a
2017.
January to January thing.
No. So we'll be good until July of 2017.
Because it was paid last year by
Well, everything got paid at
Yeah.
that very beginning year,
Right.
yes.
Yeah,
And
first
this
year
year
is
is
paid
our
for
year to
probation.
pay.
Yeah.
And the question was whether the sheriff's department was going to pay all the cost of that for the county, but apparently there was that little thing in there about transitioning to one dispatch center. That's not done.
well, we still need it.
Well, we have to have it. What's
We
the
have to
point in
have
paying
it.
for or accepting all that money for those radios if we're not going to be able to use them in their...
So I make a motion that we pay it.
I'll second.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Tasha?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
And we'll just keep an eye on things, and if they do go to one, then we're going to question this again and hold on to these things. You don't think that's going to happen, you think Eaton wants to keep their own. Well, I'm wondering if they don't. But, you know,
How big took this supplies?
$1,080 is, you know, we got to have it, and so...
But we,
Can't do without
like
it.
Brandon just reminded me, you know, we had a Sprint bill for the whole charger that's now back at the vehicle. We're paying
$107 a month,
100 something.
And that was up
Just
to
sort of
about 6 months ago.
Okay, we don't have it
No,
anymore.
I actually had it canceled, so.
Okay,
So
so...
it kind of
we're-
just offsets it.
Yeah, we're not paying really, we're paying a little bit less.
A little bit less.
Too, with the new system.
I
Okay.
am actually done.
Are you sure you want to stay up there? You can sit in my chair.
Sit in your chair. I don't know if you want to sit in there.
I know you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, we've done safety, and now I have to find my little, there we go. Building committee. I have a question. The bus barn area that we store equipment in, is it full? Okay. Not that I'm aware of it.
I just wondered if there was room for more storage in there, if you
I'm
needed it.
assuming there is.
Okay.
When's the last time I looked? That's been a while. but
Well, I know that they don't store any apple test things in there anymore. So it's, yeah, so.
That didn't work out well.
I will check and give you an update.
Well, streets?
On the building, stay with the building.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, we're back at building.
That's okay. I don't know whether the school/park considered in the building part of it, of the conversation, but I would like to say that those pavilions, picnic pavilions that they were installing,
I have that down here, but go ahead, let's do
Okay,
it
go
now.
ahead.
No, go right ahead.
I thought they did a great job, and I hope the community appreciates them, because they really made it look good up there, and they're gonna be well used, I'm sure, in the future, and it's a good deal, and I'm glad
They
with
are
Susan and her
amazing.
efforts,
Yes.
and everybody's efforts that got this all together, and we got it done in time. It was excellent.
And it definitely got some people in town excited
Yes.
when they saw that.
Well, but yes, and that was definitely needed.
Everything that I've heard has been on a positive side of the whole situation, and it's been good.
different.
It's been good.
Well, that is different, I agree with you.
It's always-
And there's no telling, the only negatives I heard is they don't care for the one down there on the corner at Walnut. And I explained to people, it's a flat area. It costs us less because there wasn't as much excavating to be done there. It also is back away from any demolition that's going to have to be done.
Right.
We needed to get it put up and get the money spent. And
What
you
was
don't
the issue
know,
with it,
well, you're just right on the street, I don't know, I heard a lot of crap.
I think-
And that's how I just said, you don't know what it's gonna look like in 5 years. You don't know what is.
Well, they're probably thinking all that property, why they put it there, but they don't have the full picture of what was
No,
going
they
on.
don't, and that's what I tried to tell them. You know, wait till it's done up there, and it'll probably make a whole lot more sense. But right now, it's kind of where it needed to be, and I think it's fine. I do want to thank Morgan Excavating
Yes.
for the work they did up there. They got up there even after we put them off till after Apple Fest, and I know they had other things to do, but they got up there and got that done quick, and it's very nice. They did a good job for us at a very reasonable price, and I think we really owe them their gratitude for getting in there and getting that finished for us before the bad weather set in.
I think as the families use them as a family thing, I think the one on the corner of Walnut and Washington will actually be more popular than the one.
It might very well be.
Because of like all this stuff.
Boy from New
Washington,
Orleans.
it's very well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think as this thing
I
goes
think it'll be
forward,
used too.
I think
They're gonna be a
the
lot less.
family orientation will be more at the corner there, than down at the basketball goals.
Do we have tables?
Yes, we do.
We do
have.
have some,
I think there's 3 or 4 that we currently have, 5. Okay.
but well, and I know that they're gonna get swallowed up in those big
Pardon me?
places.
There's a few benches.
Yes, there's benches back with backs on them, similar to what's out here in front.
It'd be nice if we had some pictures.
Well, but there's not really any reason to put them in for the winter.
No, no.
But we do have some.
Oh, we do?
And
Okay.
what, the reason I asked the question about storage up there is we still have some money to go on meeting our grant part, I believe. It's unclear whether we're going to be able to get that walking track included in that, or what's going to be included in our part. And if we had to spend money on equipment, picnic tables, things like that, and store them until spring, I wanted to make sure we had some room
To put
to store, or, playground, a piece of playground equipment, or something in that genre. The playground equipment is pretty expensive, so I think it wouldn't take us too many pieces to hit our goals.
I think there is a slide or something that's swing set that could be used
Yes,
now, if the weather was right.
I think there's a new one out there,
I think there might be too
and then I
many.
think they're gonna change one of them from the school.
See, I was wondering about that. Does the older equipment, if it passes,
I don't know how,
I think as far as swing sets
I
are
think they're
concerned, it
planning on
should be
taking the
okay.
swing set, because
Really?
it's just the A-frame metal.
But anything that's flying,
Yeah, you
if
see
it's
parts-
metal, I
parts and
don't
stuff
know.
use different
If
type
that's a good
equipment.
idea.
Anyway, they are looking at what can be salvaged, and I mean, maybe this swing was one of the main things, or one of the only things. But if we had to order and store and get that money spent by the end of the year, we could do it. And have, because those things will hold, what do you think, 8 tables in each one?
At least 6.
I would say at least 6, yeah.
And maybe 8, but there's
You
plenty
know,
of
I
room for
haven't
six.
measured them off, but I mean, if we can get them, they'll be knocked down, we can store them and, spend some money on that, and maybe something else to make our.
But the tables would have already been put under them if the weather.
If the weather
wasn't
was-
starting to change.
yes.
It's kind of useless to put them out there
I
now.
agree.
Winter just down the road. I mean, right now it's 70 degrees outside.
Well,
In a
that's
few
not
days-
normal though.
In a few days,
If
you
they
know.
snow, yeah,
By
who
the time
knows?
you set them out there, they'll be, put them back away for the winter, but that's why the tables are put out before now.
Yeah, and I had that down to bring that up, that's just fine, let's get that talked about, oh, everybody's here, and we're real pleased with it. And it's starting to excite people and look like
I
something.
think so too. It's
Okay,
been good for the
I
community.
do too. Lights,
Ralph took care of it.
There were a couple outlets, but there
We
wasn't.
saw
as
them.
of tonight.
Other than that,
Miami
nobody
Valley
reported
was,
anything being out.
was called or was sent an email and they came and fixed them or somebody did because they're operable tonight.
I haven't been out and about much, so.
Where were they at?
One was at, corner of Wren and Spring, or one Wren and Lincoln, and the other one's right there by the post office road. As you drive into the entrance to the post office. All right.
okay, finance. Mary Jane,
I'm not on finance.
oh, no, you're not, it's me and Sasha. You used to be.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Sasha, I've got it right in front of me, I'm just going to go ahead. We have the final bill for our audit. And, of course, this audit is kind of just because we changed clerks and we want to make sure procedurally we were okay, everything else. However, total cost has come in, it cost us $3,116, which for any kind of audit work, and as long as that woman was here, I'm very pleased that it wasn't more than that. That's not to say we won't have a full audit here in another year or so, and it'll be right back up there to the $10,000 mark.
Yeah, anytime you get a grant, they come back and take it out.
But, and
Oh.
the billing that we owe, we have paid installments past. Right now, the final payment that we owe is $287. So I don't think.
It's different, too.
Yes, it is. And did we have that covered in the budget?
Yeah.
The audit? Okay, so there's really no need to, we just want you all to have the information, that that's what it costs. And that is done. And the other thing, under, okay, now this is you, sanitation.
Okay. I have a letter that's going into the county auditor's office for the mowing this summer. There was two addresses at Arnett Tool, the old railroad track and all that. $680 for mowing and spraying and keeping that bank cleaned out. The other one is in Engle Edition, it's 208 Copeland Street, $400 assessing taxes to get our money back.
Do we have on file a copy where they had received notice that they were going to be, that we were going to be doing the mowing and they would be charged? And it could be put on the tax?
Years ago. Well, the one in Engle Edition has been sitting empty for years. I don't know why it hasn't been sold at sheriff's auction or whatever. I don't know what's going on with that one. And there has been bickering between the two parties on the Arnett Tool property because they say it's a corporation. The guy was buying that on contract and fell through. They moved to another location. Mr. Arnett doesn't want to pay it. For a while, we had the deed to that. The other party wanted us to he turned it over to the village. He wanted us to put a park there, but he did not legally.
The land had never been deeded to
It
him.
had never been deeded to us from him, and there was a big squabble over it. So at one time, it was given to Rick. Rick gave it back. Then he came back and gave it, when one day when Jane was here, and I happened to be here, and it was sat in our safe for a long time. I contacted the attorney. He said to send everything back to the guy that lives in Fort Laramie, I believe. And I haven't heard anything from anybody.
So we don't know where the deed is now.
The deed is in the
that it's
hands
with-
of the person that gave it to the village.
Okay.
We do not have that deed.
And and it's in the corporate name, the deed, or is it in a personal person's? Is it in a individual's name?
According to the attorney, it is in a corporate property.
Okay, and so
And
it's
and
the
when I
corporation.
contacted the attorney, he said to send it back to the person that gave it to the village, so I did that.
Okay. Now,
And
what
I
I want to
haven't
know
heard
was,
anything.
and they were informed, the corporation knows, somebody knows, that we are mowing that and charging them.
I have I
And
made
you have
copies of
something-
everything.
Okay.
I made a copy of the letter that I sent to that person.
Okay, and because they don't have to pay it if we haven't notified them.
And that's just a small portion of it. That's just from September and October.
Yeah, they owe, what's the total for the years?
$2,010 for this year is what I submitted to the auditor's office.
This has been going on for,
And it's in the name
I
of the
don't know how many
corporation.
years.
According to the auditor's page, it's under Jim Arnett.
And he refuses to pay.
I mean, when you pull up that parcel, it comes up under him.
But when I contacted the attorney, he looked into the corporation part of it, and it's in the other man's name.
The corporation is in.
So the only thing I know to do is turn it over to our new attorney and let him get it straightened
Well,
out.
I think that it's probably going to come to a head when he looks at his tax bill.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. That's when it usually comes to it.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that we have receipts and copies and all this stuff, so we can say, look, we did this, and we did this, and we're not going to be in a big
And-
mess.
I have all the information in the file in there of the letters that was sent, pictures was sent. Mr. Arnett came to my house one day and he was highly upset because he said he wasn't going to pay it. And since we have the deed, we needed to do it. Well, we did it, but it wasn't ours. I had to do it because
We
nobody
did
was
it
doing
because
it.
it wasn't being done, and it's a health and a safety situation.
And I had contacted the other gentleman, and at one time, the county came and mowed it for me because it was so tall and all, but that stopped, and now the guy that works for the village is doing that.
Okay.
Taking
It does
care
just
of
the mowing of the lots and the
Right.
derelict properties, okay.
It's being mowed, but now there's going to be a big argument over who's going to pay it.
Well, I think we probably need all those things in file down here, so that when it comes up, or
If
get
it's
them to the
on there,
attorney.
we can't put that on the taxes, right?
Yeah, that's
We
what
can
this
still put
letter,
it-
I just
Even though
signed
our
this
guy's
letter.
doing it,
Pardon me?
Even though our guy's doing it now?
Our guy
No, our
doesn't do
guy
it here.
isn't
I
doing it.
hire a guy out of New
Oh,
Madison to do
okay,
it.
Okay.
And then at the end of this time of the year, well, we decided to do it every month.
I've been doing it
We send
every couple months at
to
least.
the auditor where we assess the taxes, but this is the total for this season.
Just for,
Yeah.
September and
And I'll give
October.
this to Amanda and she'll send it on to the auditor.
And we went to a meeting.
Oh,
You want
yes.
to bring that up just
Okay,
briefly?
yeah. Kathy and I went to a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and it was about a land bank. It was also about blighted areas in all of Preble County. It was very interesting and informational. Preble County does not have a land bank, but the purpose for the meeting was they want the word to get out. They would like to start a land bank, and that would help people fix their houses up, to get rid of all of the blighted areas. There's also a lot of federal grants and state grants that they can get that small villages can apply for. And I asked them about the old school. I asked them if, since we have that in our possession, the land, would it be possible to get a grant to tear that building down? And they said we would have to turn that over to the land bank if they get one. And they would apply for a grant, and then it would be turned back over to us after, if they received a grant and it was torn down, they would turn it back over to the village.
I don't know.
But
With the way things have been done here, as far as we declared as a park property and taken possession of it, and for some of these grants that we have had, the smaller ones, I don't even know if legally.
there's some information here that they gave, and they had a good presentation of different blighted areas, and it's just for each village in Preble County. And their main goal is to start a land bank.
Is that
so
something that will help individual homeowners?
they can help individual people.
What they do is take possession of these derelict properties, if they can get it. And they are the ones that have to take care of mowing and maintaining it, getting it up to whatever they can get it up to. If it's a small thing, they'll try to sell it back to an adjoining property owner as a side lot, because a lot of these are like Mary Jane's
Yeah,
plant out
you're,
there. They're not big enough to really do anything with, up to today's standards. To me, it's more interesting to see if we could get some of this stuff taken off our plate. We are not realtors, and we don't need that mess, and we don't need all this derelict stuff that we have to take care of. But it's not in place yet, and I have no idea how long it will take them. The usual procedure, I think, in a lot of counties is to take the DTAC money, which is the delinquent tax property tax assessments, take a percentage of that, and that funds the land bank. The county, of course, is not in favor of that, because the county offices split that money now between, I think, the auditor and the treasurer's departments.
but they did.
But you don't have to take the percentage that they were talking about, and you really don't have to do anything as far as that funding. If the land bank's in force, if it's formed, they can go after grants. If they make a property that, make it useful where they can sell a lot, if they had something the correct size and metal code, they keep that money and turn it around and put it into other acquisitions through land bank or repairs or something. So I think it's something that we'll probably be hearing a lot more about. It's not in anything except the talking stages right now, but it's something I think we'd be interested in looking at if we get that way. Yes, I do.
And if you haven't noticed, the house over on West Main Street
Yeah.
is down. It
How did
looks
that
great.
happen?
I have no idea.
You don't?
Well, the guy that bought the place said that he would tear it down, and
Oh,
evidently.
somebody bought it for the back taxes?
Yeah,
Okay.
the guy who actually owns the house next to it,
Uh-huh.
he actually did that, remodeled that, he actually bought that house.
Oh, awesome.
I think either him or one of his family members actually bought the house down from here.
Down from me?
Yeah.
Garrett's
The old,
Garrison's house, yes.
Old Garrison House?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's the same.
Well, that's great, I'm glad they got that taken care of. It
Yeah, a
killed
few
me to see
years
it.
ago, the state came up with some extra money, and they gave me about 2 weeks to get a bunch of paperwork in to get some blighted houses torn down, but we had to get permission from the property owner.
Right.
And these places was caving in, and they would not sign it, they wouldn't give us permit, they wouldn't sign the papers to get the place torn down.
Well, they eventually sent Loretta a letter and tried to give it back to her.
Really? Yeah.
But I couldn't get, they didn't have the
No.
letter for me to bring, to show y'all, but
Anyway,
I'm
there
glad to see
is,
it down.
this land bank sounded really good to me. It's just getting everybody on board to get things rolling and set it up to where it doesn't hurt the auditor getting their tax
Well, I do
money
think it's
back.
something that in the future we'll probably hear more about, and I think it's interesting.
yeah, it is very interesting.
Planning.
gentleman that was here.
Other than that,
Other than that, that's it.
okay. And there's no one here from EPA, I don't believe. Resolution and ordinance, there's an ordinance proposed, and I will read it. This is ordinance number 2016-07, procedures for permit for street openings. Whereas the village is responsible to see that those opening streets for utility work and other things make proper repairs to the disturbed roadway, and whereas fees and specifications are needed to be established to see that the replacements are done properly. Therefore, be it ordained that a street opening permit revised is hereby adopted and is as follows. Street opening permit instructions, complete the permit. It's a 3-page permit. I'm going to pass this part of the round. And submitted to the fiscal officer along with the non-refundable permit fee of $150. Checks payable to the Village of New Terrace. The permit form must be properly completed and signed in all locations. Provide a deposit with a certified check or bond made out to Village of New Terrace in the appropriate amount based on the number of street openings to be incurred. The cost structure for the openings is as follows. Lawn space, $1,000 for a 100 square foot opening. Street area, $2,000 for a 100 square foot opening. Note, for every 10 square feet over the 100 square foot minimum, as an additional cost of $25 will be assessed for the deposit cost. Contractor or property owner shall provide 48 hours advance notice to the village office located at 301 West Cherry Street, or via telephone at 937-456-3254. Prior to digging, this will allow the village to notify all appropriate emergency personnel and have a representative on site as needed during the street opening. Contractor or property owner, this is part 5, contractor or property owner shall provide as much notice as possible, but not less than 4 hours when village inspections are needed. This will allow the inspection to be available at the appropriate times. Inspections are required: 1, during all main field replacements; 2, during granular backfill placement; 3, final inspection prior to placement of asphalt; 4, during phase placement for sidewalks and driveway approaches; and 5, prior to backfill for curb replacement and prior to concrete installation for curb replacement. Second page is the actual permit. Requires the name of the business or the owner's name, etc. And the next page is preparation and backfill requirements, which lists what is appropriate to be used, public safety and property protection requirements, nothing left open overnight, etc. General conditions, bond or letter of credit, non-refundable permit fee of $150, assessed for each opening, failure to obtain the proper permit. Prior to beginning work regulated therein shall subject the property owner to or contractor to a non-refundable penalty of 10 times the amount of the usual customary permit fee, which would be $1,500, right? Because the usual fee is $150. Okay. And then work started, if we don't have a permit on file, it's stopped work order, and subject to a non-refundable $1,000 penalty, along with completing all property, all the rest of the things that should have been done before. And deposit money will be held by the village for 1 year. Any remaining or unused money to make sufficient repairs to the openings area during the 12-month period following the opening will be returned to the contractor or property owner. Any village infrastructure installed incorrectly or without an inspection by village personnel will be required to be removed and properly replaced by the contractor or property owner at their own expense. Failure to comply will result in loss of deposit. And then there's a place here to sign, and all of that is part of the permit for street opening. chair will entertain a motion to pass ordinance 2016-07.
I make a motion we pass 2016-07.
Second.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Tasha? Teresa?
Yes.
Bill? Ralph?
Yes. Thank you, Susan, for,
You're welcome.
Do you want this to go under Bethany?
it's,
The chair will entertain a motion to declare an emergency and forego 3 readings on this, as it is a safety matter for the village. Having these things done correctly. Is there a motion?
Oh, I make the motion, I'm sorry.
Okay, Mary Jane has
I
moved
thought
the
you said
question.
somebody else had already made the
No,
motion.
nobody has. And you will second that?
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Tasha? Yes. Teresa?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Bill?
Thank you. Okay. That's all that resolution and ordinance has in old business. Porter Advertising has paid us $500. Bravo to the people who stuck to their guns. It wasn't me, but I did along with it. But good, the contract is signed and returned. Depository account bids from Farmer State and LCNB. I have talked, the Finance Committee has talked to Mandy. Mandy would like this table. We're too close to the end of the year for her to want to fool around with moving money into 2 bags and trying to get a year-end figure for anything. It would be my recommendation that we wait until February or March. In the first place, the board has had several things going on, and I don't think they've had anything but an emergency meeting to do their warrants. So I don't know their feelings on it. And I think that they need to be involved in it. You know, do what you wish, of course, but I don't think we want to do anything before next year anyway, right now.
I agree.
I can tell you LCNB has already changed the rate, so we are getting a little bit better rate than what we were getting before.
The rate that they proposed,
They've already changed.
when they were
it to
here, they
the-
have already started paying.
They've already started paying.
So regardless of whether we go somewhere else or not, we're still getting a little bit of extra money out of them. Is there a motion to table this matter until, put a time on it? I mean, March is really not too far out to get the year started.
I'll make a motion, we table this till March of
Second.
17.
Mary Jane? Yes. Tasha? Teresa?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Bill?
Okay. United Healthcare has sent us a proposal for the upcoming year. It would involve an increase of, as you can see there, $112.79.
For employee.
Total?
Total increase for monthly now. It's 5%, I think.
5.2.
Is that what, yes, it is. Then the only differences are with this new one, the deductible on the plan is a little bit higher. If you'll look, we have the first column right now, go to the 3rd column, that's what they're proposing that we do. It's going from $750 to $1,500, $750 for individual, $1,500 for family, to $1,000 to $2,000. However, the out-of-pocket maximums have dropped from $5,000, $10,000 to $4,000, $8,000. So it would require a little bit more up front.
Co-pays are dropped.
The co-pays are, yeah. Those have dropped also. You know, we don't want to wait too long with this one either. I think we can wait until next month to do anything with it. I want you to be aware of it, and you've got a copy, so. It was difficult to get anybody to bid on it last year. I think that they might be the only one that wanted to take this, so. And the minimal amount of increase, I don't know if you will look for somebody else or not. people, most companies did not want to cover us unless we had 4 employees who were on it, and we did not. And we don't anticipate having that many. You never know what's going to happen, but we're not near 4 now. So there's that. We also have something from Integrity Energy. They would like us to contact. I just want you to be aware, I think we can talk about it in December and have it in by the end of the year, in enough time if we do it right away after we vote, to get it in place for the new year. Okay?
And they don't need an answer right away, right?
Integrity Energy, no. They
On the insurance.
on that, I don't believe so. They want it,
It's just coming up.
they just want to let you know it's coming up with this, and if we want to come visit us, they will, but I don't think for
Right.
this.
But so many insurance companies are beginning to start offering out different.
Yes, they are. Yes, they
It
are.
worries me that they're going to not offer it at all.
It concerns me a little bit too. Okay. This thing from Integrity, they'd like us to switch to them instead of DP&L. Our contract with Dave Powerline is up in May of 17. This is another thing that, we will want to take care of as soon as possible if we want to change, but I think we need to get something from Dave Powerline as far as what they're looking at before we just hop on the bandwagon here with this. So,
The way I understand this is the proposal that they have here, if we sign it now, it doesn't affect the remaining time frame that we have with DP&L.
no, it would not.
It would take effect immediately after that time frame was up, just to take over. But by signing it now, then you have no,
We don't have to leverage it now. We can't borrow from Dave Powerline because we are hooked with them if we
Right.
do it now. So this is another thing that we just need to be aware of and should be talked about. But we also need to contact Dave Powerline and see what kinds of deal we can get from them. And I would
normally they
assume
come
that
in
this,
early enough.
yeah, normally they do.
And if we don't decide to go with them, or if we want to wait for a couple months, then those rates that they quoted us obviously would probably not be intact.
No,
It'll be-
I mean, they want you to decide now to get it. I don't know how long they'll be good. We can look at it in December if we have information from DP&L. So we'll try to get that, find out if they have any idea or they can make us a firm
I'm sure they'll come. with something.
agreement. But in the meantime, Ralph, what worries us is this is not going to be any good anymore.
True, true.
So
It's a change.
it is. Okay.
But I know last time that DP&L Energy came, and we signed a contract that we're currently on, the price actually went down from the one before that. So,
The new contract was lower? Is that-
yes, the
okay.
one we're currently in now is lower than the one we had before.
Okay.
Doesn't mean it's going to happen again.
No, but
it
that's
did.
be fine with me. Okay, the only other thing that I have here is, there's a UAN meeting, which is the bookkeeping, the software year-end training meeting on December 6th, and our fiscal officer will be going to that. We are not being charged for that. That's something the company does to make their life and everybody else's life a little bit easier. So Andy will be in that. Communications from the mayor. The mayor says hello, he's nice and warm, and hopes that we're all just jealous as heck.
Do we have to approve anything for her as far as?
Mandy,
expenses,
do
things
you
like that?
need your expenses approved? Where is the meeting?
It's at Fawcett Hall and, Ohio State.
At Ohio State.
On the-
And we don't have anything, I think there's something in our
Yeah, but
Employee
they
day.
feed me and they take care of me, so there's really.
I think that it involves mileage and anything like that, so you take a look at at your employee manual, because it should be
And
covered
we
in there.
carpool, so I help drive there.
And she's got a credit card.
Okay, so I think she's taken care of it. I mean, with the language in that, if she incurs expenses, and since they're gonna feed her, she probably won't, so somebody else is gonna drag her up there,
That's
so
right.
it should be okay.
Well, she could submit that for next December's meeting. Was it
Sure she
6th?
can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if there's anything she needs, then she'll need to let us know ahead of time. Okay. Anything else, any other business?
Yeah, the firing range at the Legion, do they have permits?
See,
Did you call the sheriff's office yesterday?
I did.
Okay, that really wasn't at the Legion, that was over on Westlaw Road.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I'm not 100% sure, I don't think a deputy got dispatched out
Sorry.
there. Oh, it's all right, that's what I'm here for. But they're out always shooting out in those fields, and it's out in the county territories. As long as they're doing it in a safe manner, there's nothing illegal about it. Now, the way it sounded, from what I've experienced in the past, I think they're using tannerite, which is basically a mini
Sound like a cannon going
yeah,
off.
it's an explosive, which used in the wrong context, it is illegal. But again, it was out of our jurisdiction, so really there was nothing I could do about it except for relay the information to Crawford County Dispatch, and that was their call.
Well, I didn't know what the law was
Right.
for the village.
Oh,
But I looked it up on the ORC, and according to that, the game warden, or,
Well, in the
had
village,
something
there's
to
no,
do.
you can't fire a firearm in the village, period.
well, but at one time, there was something brought up at the council meeting about a fire range at the Legion. And it sounded like it was coming from the,
I'm pretty sure it was over on Westler, because I sat there for a while, and I had heard it back and forth as I was going through it during the day, and it was further west.
but I told the dispatcher, I said, I don't know what the laws are.
Right.
And I really wasn't sure where it was located at, or who was doing it. I thought it was at the Legion.
I mean, it was up that way.
But I asked her if we had an officer on call, and she said he was busy, or whoever it was.
I checked it out.
The problem is with the village is that there's so many places just outside of town.
Yeah, I
Being
know.
Bowl and everything down here.
Yeah.
Heck, you know, I got called a couple of years ago, and they were actually out New Paris Gettysburg Road, shooting down in the creek bed there, and then just echoing. right
Carries
through
down.
here, place like that.
Get echo.
I know the sheriff, the Tangerine stuff, he's been getting on people around this area using it. Come to find out the big buildings that's been going around, that's been shaking New Paris and everything else like that, it's that.
And it was a big, actually a big issue.
It
over
sounded
in the
like
South
it.
Gator area.
Basically, what it is it's chemicals, and it's legal to buy. You can go buy it here and there.
Propane cells.
Propane
Propane cells,
And
tannerite
it's
cells.
perfectly legal to buy, it's perfectly legal to have. But what a lot of people don't know is that when you mix the chemicals, it becomes an explosive. And that is actually where it becomes illegal. And that's what the
I
sheriff's.
didn't know what it was. It sounded like 4th of July.
And what they do is they mix it together, and a lot of you see it, like they'll take a car or a fridge, some old junk, they'll stick it in, and they'll shoot it, and it explodes and blows everything up.
Yeah, it's
I
actually pretty
just-
powerful. It's like you said, a few months ago, we used a camper and it actually exploded. And
poison, there's poison.
Yeah.
I just knew it was close, and I didn't feel like it needed to be in the village, so.
It's not in the village, and that's the bad thing about being around here, is that even if it's right outside the village, it seems like it's right here.
Okay, is there anything else that we need to discuss this evening? Any other business?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second? Is there a second to the motion?
I second. Mary?
Aye. Yes.
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 Bill? Ralph?
I will say, excuse me, I didn't miss the last line, but I knew y'all could read it. Our next meeting will be